for a new member of parliament.
Let's talk about something else here. Now that we're all talking about capture, and the other name of that is just graft. And there's been an attempt by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to deal with corruption in the country, but there's also been a counter-response from those in leadership. This is what Honorable Eugene Wamalwa and Honorable Tienda Mola had to say about the recent arrest by EACC. Listen.
He has not been confronted with any charges at all for the entire period we have been here. He has not been asked any questions in relation to any charges. What has been going on is that there are investigations relating to the county of Marsabit.
The drama around it, including raiding his home in Karen, his rural home in Marsabit, and other offices in the city, the drama was totally unnecessary. In the end, it's not the drama that would count, it will be the evidence.
Our client is willing and would be willing to attend any time without compulsion. So that show of force, that show of intimidation is not necessary. And we've pointed that out.
Ekuru, what is your reaction to this? Because when there's an attempted fight by the EACC, there's a back pushing by leaders. Either our community is being targeted, the drama is unnecessary, or are they simply doing it in the wrong way?
You know, Trevor, I would like Kenyans, first of all, to stop using this word corruption. Because what is happening in our country is theft of public resources. If people cannot account for money, they have actually stolen it or diverted it or taken it elsewhere. This corruption thing doesn't make sense. In fact, if I ask you today in Doluo, what is corruption? You'll probably not have a word for it. If I ask Maanzo in Kikamba or ask him Honorable Nania in Kimbere, or Mheshimiwa Madenge in Kikuyu, certainly not in Turkana, we can't find the word corruption. But when you cannot account for money that is under your custody, you have actually stolen. And I think to simplify this fight on corruption, we should stop calling it corruption or taking the corruption code. Because if you stole money, there's already the penal code and the criminal procedure laws in this country that are sufficient enough to put you on the dock and ask you, you said you're going to build Bridge X or hospital or a school. Where is that structure? How was it done? And the Auditor General normally would spend about 6 months actually auditing expenditure of public money. You know, and that's what the law says. That's what the Constitution refers to in Article 201, public money. So this thing of corruption, really, we need to stop about it. Secondly, and to your question, it is true that with the evidence we have seen so far from the Auditor General, from the Controller of Budget, you know, that money is not accounted for. It is so sad that you have got legislators like Orengo, Tienda Amolo, and Eugene Wamalwa now coming to defend our fellow, even when they are not even allowed, for example, the investigation to go on. So EACC is being frustrated because of this political maneuvering. So it becomes a war between a certain political group against another political group. And I'm sure right now, it's not surprising to me that Azimio, so-called Azimio lawyers, Orengo, you know, and the rest, Eugene Wamalwa, are representing Ukuri Yatani because they are thinking it's UDA, Kenya Kwanza administration, that's actually persecuting one of their own. Because for all intents and purposes, I know, Ukuri Yatani was an appointee of Uhuru Kenyatta, who is involved in Azimio. So this thing is being politicized, but they are not telling us, they are not allowing EACC and even the investigative agencies to actually get to the bottom of it. So already they are politicizing it. You see, it is normal. If it was an ordinary Kenyan who has been summoned by EACC, you'll never see these lawyers make such statements. If it was Ekuru Aukot or somebody else, you'll never see those lawyers. But because of the political stature of Mr. Ukuri Yatani, and we are not saying that he's guilty, but at least allow the investigative agencies, arms of government, to actually question him and to ask him to account. And in any case, he isn't the only one. It's Governor Mahmoud Ali, who was also summoned in Isiolo over the same thing.
And 11 other suspects.
And 11 other suspects. So we have not seen them make noise about those other 11 suspects, but this particular one. So for me, there is a deliberate attempt to interfere with government getting to the bottom of how public money is lost in the hands of individuals.
Okay.
And for me, Trevor, it's not rocket science.
Okay.
That some people can today be broke, but as soon as they are appointed to certain key offices in government, we can see almost a 360 transformation of their lives. They move from certain quarters to certain leafy suburbs, and this happens every day. And sometimes you wonder. I mean, there are basic questions that people Kenya ask. You are a governor or you are a president. We know your salary monthly. But how is it that you can be giving about almost $1 million every week? Where are you getting this money from? And if President William Ruto was serious, and I hope the two UDA members of parliament here can deliver this message, what happened to the lifestyle audit of all public servants, especially starting from the very top, coming to Honorable Rukia and Honorable Madenge and even Mahanzo? We should go back to lifestyle audit.
All right. Honorable Ruku, is there some truth in the drama around the arrest by EACC vis-a-vis the evidence at the end of it all? Like right now, they're investigating 8 billion shillings, so we're not going to get into the merits of that. But is there some truth into the drama and the final outcome of the entire process?
Trevor, yes. And I'll keep reminding my brother Ekuru that not UDA, Democratic Party.
You are Kenya Kwanza?
Yes, I'm Kenya Kwanza. I'm Kenya Kwanza.
From the Democratic Party.
Kenya Kwanza is not UDA.
Although the way he's defending...
although the man is saying Wiper is Azimio.
Trevor, although the way he's defending UDA, he's actually more UDA than even DP. In fact, if I was DP official, I should be summoning Honorable Ruku. Where is his allegiance?
On a serious issue is that the Kenya Kwanza government, and more so the President of the Republic, will not talk to corruption. He will deal with corruption, and we will only be seeing the results. He will not be shouting on the top of vehicles and talking about how he's going to deal with corruption. No, he is dealing with corruption. And this administration is going to ensure if there is money lost or the money that was lost in the past administration, other previous administration, that money will come back to the Kenyan taxpayers' basket, because Kenyans are being taxed huge in a serious way, and this money must be made, proper use of that money must be seen. Unfortunately, Trevor, we still don't have proper laws to deal with corruption. I am on record trying to amend the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crime Act because I believe we must make corruption extremely painful in the Republic of Kenya, so that this country can be transformed. We are 60 years old from the time we attained our independence, and we should not be talking of lack of facilities, education facilities, health facilities. Our roads infrastructure are in problems, because a lot of resources which should be channeled to these sectors, these resources are being squandered by senior government officials, as we can see, the former Minister of Finance or Treasury, probably whatever he's accused of probably is true. But there have been so many other such kind of cases in the past, and very few which has been prosecuted successfully and convicted. We have seen so many of them being withdrawn. We have seen a lot of acquittals. So we have to ask ourselves, what is the problem? Where did the rain start beating us? And the rain started beating us when our institution where we sit in, the three of us, the parliament, we are not providing the justice administration system of this country with well-articulated, well-structured legal framework to deal with corruption. So I think the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crime Act is now 20 years old. It needs a total audit, it needs a total review, so that we can have another law, which is post-2010 Constitution, well aligned with our Constitution, to be able to make corruption an extremely painful thing in the Republic of Kenya, and all the resources of the Republic can be able to be used in the most appropriate way. How I wish this case can be prosecuted successfully without acquittal or without being withdrawn. And any other. We have seen also Murang'a County case being forwarded to court and several others. So there is need, and for me, I will do my part. I will try to do a lot of research as far as this area is concerned. to see whether we can propose a new, completely new bill which can repeal the entire Anti-Corruption and Economic Crime Act of 2023 with one sole aim of making corruption in the Republic of Kenya a painful thing.
Okay. Manzo.
Well, what can make, the fight of corruption in Kenya a painful thing? You first amending the Constitution and create a death sentence for whoever is convicted with corruption. But when you look at the history of the country, and even when you look at the so-called prosecutors, the person who are supposed to investigate and prosecute corruption, they themselves are supposed to be convictees in jail and having been forced to return whatever they have stolen from the public. What has happened in Arua and Chimarel Dam, we have seen withdrawals or shoddy cases whereby the investigators know very well the case they are presenting before court will fail, and they have colluded with the accused person. The only punishment available is what you saw with Ukur Yatani, be rushed around, be locked up for 2-3 days. That's the only punishment. The rest, will never happen. It's not likely to be achieved. The only way this can work is not even by another law. As a new member of parliament from Bere is claiming, that will never work. That's just theory. The only way this can begin, now that the president had been adversely mentioned in a lot of these big-time corruption cases, he should be the first one to resign. If he resigned and allowed a clean government and a government of the people,
Trevor,
then you will start fighting corruption in this country. So it should start.
Trevor, we can't allow.
Yes.
But why does it pain you when the president is being mentioned?
President is a symbol of the national unity of the Republic of Kenya. He has been elected.
But you can resign even if you are the symbol.
No, he has been elected.
If you are adversely mentioned,
he has been elected by the people of the Republic of Kenya, and the people of the Republic of Kenya trust the integrity of the President of the Republic.
Okay.
And we should not allow Senator Maanzo.
The only solution, now that he is adversely mentioned, he should resign in so many cases.
Trevor, before Madenge comes in, I know Ruku will say I'm demeaning him when I correct him. Again, if he read the Constitution properly as a legislator, he knows that the one resignation does not start with the Honorable Maanzo. It is actually in the Constitution. It is in our law. So to relate it to the president non-performance and to ask him to resign is not actually an invention. It is the people of Kenya who said when for example, a president or anybody in the public service is not performing, they could resign for whatever reason. So calm down, Honorable.
And when he leaves office, he will be prosecuted. And he will go to jail anyway.
Senator, the integrity of the president is beyond reproach. The integrity of the president of the Republic of Kenya is beyond reproach.
The pronouncements.
One should not be entertained.
But it's in the law. The pronouncements.
That is what will stop corruption in the country.
Yes.
The pronouncements by Senator Orengo, senior lawyer Otiende Amoro, former CS Eugene Wamarwa. The pronouncements by Senator Maanzo exactly represents the grandstanding that has become the norm whenever there are attempts to go after culprits, so that we can contaminate the public opinion, the corridors of justice, parliament, and such discourse. It is the doublespeak. The first person to speak about corruption here on this panel was Senator Maanzo. But now he wants to sidetrack us to discussing the fact that the president has been mentioned previously.
Even
let us have. I don't even want to bring about Kalonzo. Let us have put into context the debate we are having today, and remain focused. Senator, why didn't you object to your Wiper Party leader leading the national dialogue? Yet he has also been mentioned before. This is the double speak. This is the double speak. That is the double speak I am talking about. So that now we can throw in on the issue of Ukur Yatani, we want to say it's because he was CS. Remind Kenyans that Ukur Yatani was the first Governor Marsabit, 2013-2017. You've talked about corruption with governors. You want to tell us he was the angel at that time? Is this issue where he was summoned to the EACC pertaining to his position in Azimio, or his appointment, or his tenure as CS, or his reign as Governor Marsabit? You cannot, on one side of your mouth, call for accountability for governors. When a former governor is touched, then you start saying about so and so. The people summoned by EACC today is Ukur Yatani and the current governor. Let us allow our institutions to carry out their mandate. Today, the chair of the EACC board is one of the most respected, eminent persons in this country. When the opposition used to run away from persecution by Moi, at that time, during that time, you and others, including Dr. Ekuru, would go and seek refuge at Sitam Gong Road, where Bishop Oginde was presiding. Today,
I sought refuge where?
I propose.
I've talked about the opposition. You were in that space.
No.
Just hold. And therefore, it is important that at this time we focus on the perspective and allow EACC to summon whoever they have investigated and they believe they have a case to answer, to appear before EACC. If there is a violation of the rights in the process of the EACC, these people can resort to court. Senator and Governor Orengo. You know, he's one of the most experienced legal persons in this case. He is in the wrong place at this point in time in the case of Senator CS Ukur Yatani.
Okay.
And without jeopardizing the right of the former CS to representation of his choice.
Okay.
The consternation of Orengo, Eugene Wamarwa, and Atiende Amoro cannot help Kenyans think that Azimio this time round is opposed to the fight against corruption.
But maybe I should ask the question now,
Yeah.
which Azimio? Because there's a part of Azimio that's in government, especially through the leadership of Mahanso's own party leader.
We are not in any government, my
Okay, I will join Honorable Ruku in asking which Azimio, because we know there are pockets of Azimios who are in dalliance with the KK admission. But you see, having said that, Trevor, I am really praying that EACC also now summons somebody who is allied to Kenya Kwanza or UDA. And let's see the reaction. Because I can assure you, the reaction will be the same as that of Atiende Amolo, Eugene, and Senator Orengo in that protectionism. Because it's about if one of our... And this is, sorry to use these words, there's a degree of the mediocrity in our societal setup that when somebody you relate to, you think comes from your region or a friend, is someone of a suspicion of having committed a crime, all of us all of a sudden just wake up and say, they're going after our person. We must protect. Yet we don't see actually the danger or the damage, misappropriation or theft of public money actually causes to a majority of Kenyans. And many times, Trevor, this is why for me I favor some two quick solutions to this theft of public money. I think we should disband EACC. I totally believe EACC should be disbanded. It's of totally no use in fighting corruption because one of the most lucrative businesses in Kenya today is to investigate theft of public money or the so-called corrupt. You're a police officer or an investigator with a salary, say, take-home salary of, say, 40,000 a month. Then you're investigating someone like Ukur Yatani, maybe, and I'm not saying Ukur Yatani does this, just an example, who probably has embezzled 100 million, 200 million, and they look at you.
You're investigating 8 billion.
8 billion. But I'm just using example, say, of 100 million that you've not accounted for, which many times is a fact because you can even see from people's lifestyle audit, the acquisition of property and all that. They look at you and say, Roko, your salary yako ni 40,000 Kenya shillings. Me, I can give you 2 million. you know, or, I mean, trust me, they take that money and they write very shoddy reports, and that's why you can see people are being acquitted in the context of Aror, Kimwarere Dam, and many, many, many others. So for me, I would rather the resources that EACC currently is spending in the pretense of fighting corruption is actually transferred to the Director of Criminal Investigation, empower those police officers, pay them a proper salary so that they can actually investigate this theft. And I'm telling you, and then simplify it. Forget about this Economics and Crimes Act. Let's go back to the penal code. Let's go back to the criminal procedure and say you have not accounted for 8.7 billion. There is a crime in law called theft by agent, theft by servant. You know, you can probably be charged in a criminal court of law and evidence adduced on you not being able to account for that money. And you forget about this sanitization with the words corruption. So transfer this resource to DCI, empower DCI to investigate and charge them under the normal criminal procedure. The other important point, Trevor, and we must debate this as a country, the manner in which people are appointed into these public offices. They appoint probably the weakest of people compromised. The chairman of EACC may be a person of integrity, as you say.
But the rest is
fair enough.
Fair enough.
But some of the people who are being appointed, including, for example, today, I mean, I'm sorry to say this, I have nothing, I don't know about the DPP, the current DPP, but the Constitution gives him power. On his own motion, he can actually launch an investigation or request an investigation from DCI. But the manner in which some of these people are appointed in this office, they are appointed for purpose of manipulation. They all begin to owe allegiance to the appointing authority. And maybe, I'll challenge the parliamentarians here, perhaps we need to rethink about the appointment of people into independent offices. Who must appoint them? Yeah. Because the character of people appointed into these offices is that they are subservient. They owe allegiance to the appointing authority. And they forget that they actually have a responsibility, a duty that should actually benefit the people of Kenya and the country at large.
Okay.
I feel that's one of the major problems we really must fix today. Right. We need to change the manner in which people are being appointed. And hopefully, we appoint people on merit and experience. Because sometimes you find people in these public offices who are even struggling to establish, okay, where did I see this person? I mean, like you know, for example, in the case of the former DPP, it's an open secret. And Mahanzo Yamapi is a lawyer. Most lawyers will ask, I mean, where was this? Is this guy a lawyer? In fact, that was one of the questions that was being asked regularly. Is he a lawyer? Where did he go to school? So, you know, when people do not even know who you went to school with, you know, who your classmates are, then how do we give you a very huge responsibility and expect you to perform to the expectation of that office? Okay. It won't happen,
all right.
Trevor.
Gentlemen, I want to touch on one subject because you only have 10 minutes.
I expect further chances to be... I mean, Yakuru are trying to carry more cross when it comes to when Kenya Kwanza administration were coming to office, the coffers were empty, and we know what happened. That a huge amount of money were paid.
They were never empty.
Billions of Kenyan shilling.
Okay. So that is not what EACC is investigating. They
so that's why I'm saying we expect
when he was governor.
We expect Yakuru Yatan to carry a bigger cross in the near future.
All right.
Because Kenya's money for Kenyans must be returned.
Okay. Yes. Let me see some feedback that's coming through. Then I want to hear your views really quick on one subject before we close because we're running out of time. Yes.
Yes. So just on this one, whoever Kenyan has stolen monies.
Yes.
Should actually return the money.
Okay.
And that should be the principle. This is what Kenyans should rally on. And those holy public officers and have history of being adversely mentioned in big-time corruption, they should step aside, they should resign, and return whatever they have stolen to Kenya.
All right, let me bring in some feedback on this, and then I'd like to hear your views on a motion that is being pushed through by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei to increase the presidential term limits and the legislators' term limits to 7 years. We'll talk about that as we close right now. Ole Shonko says there should be more arrests when it comes to stealing of public funds. Apart from this, there should be amendment of the law where prosecutions and judgment takes not more than 3 months. Okay? Let's see what else you're saying. Amaganga Mustaf says the judiciary has invited members of the public to submit memoranda against the shortlisted Court of Appeal judges. We will wait until they are in office for us to come out bickering with all sorts of allegations. Okay. Frank says government agencies are being weaponized to fight perceived government critics or simply to punish officials from previous government. It's more of a vengeance than fighting real corruption. Cronies to the current regime are busy embezzling from public coffers as the government chases hot air. I believe that's what you wanted to say. Team Kenya says Kenyans are the problem. EACC has started going for those who looted our country during the handshake, but politicians want to bring cheap opposition politics. IBC should mark the lawyers of corrupt people and never clear them for election. Okay? But Michael says the fracas and theatrics around the arrest of former CS Ukur Yatani is just a normal one. Until a major corruption case is heard and concluded and the thieves taken to jail, this is when we will now agree that some work has been done. Otherwise, is this just drama? Amdani says this government only deals with corruption through words, no action, because how comes the CS of Agriculture and Head of Public Service are still in office after being implicated in the fake fertilizer by the owner of Kales Limited? So this guy, Ruku, awache propaganda.
Propaganda.
Amagaka staff says, why should EACC take 10 years to investigate misappropriation of funds? It makes the entire operation a circus and political. Okay. Sawe says our government's priorities seem misplaced while we excel in planning, our implementation falls short. It's concerning that despite budget allocations for disasters, Nairobi is seeing little action. Where is the allocated money going? Okay. And this is a conversation we'll have again when we have Cherargei here. We invited